Hi, this is Tom Boyk, Lead Teacher for Technology for District 33, and I wanted to show you how to set up a class using Making the Grade. So go ahead and open up the program. Now, depending on if you have a new machine or an old machine, some of these steps might be slightly different. So I'm going to explain both situations here. Now, you'll notice that I got the password window. And the reason why I got the password window is because I've opened Making the Grade before. Now, if you open Making the Grade and you get this window, all you have to do to proceed to the next step is click Enter. Now, if you open up Making the Grade and you get a window that says, would you like to set up your profile? That's because Making the Grade has not yet been opened on your computer, and it's going to run you through a series of steps: teacher name, professional name, password. So I've actually entered a password for my machine. But for most people, if you get the password window, just click Enter. Now, this is another situation in which, depending on if Making the Grade has been opened on your computer or not, you might see different windows. So since this is one of the first times I've opened Making the Grade up, is I got this dialog box where I can set up a new class, open existing, if I can import school loop rosters, which doesn't matter, or I can cancel. Now, some of you, before I get too far, if you get to this step, go ahead and click Set up a new class, and that'll get us to the next step. Now, if you open up Making the Grade and you see this box, where it's looking for you to open a class file, but you have not yet created a class file on this computer, go ahead and click Cancel. Go up here to File and click Set up a new class. So again, depending on which route you take, it's still going to get us to this window. This is the Creating a New Class window. What you're first going to want to do is to go ahead and type in the class title. One thing I need to mention at the beginning of this process is you need to speak with your team on whether or not you use Making the Grade to print off your midterms. Because your team might have a specific way that they title their classes and a specific way that they title their academic terms, so that when you print out the midterm, everything is uniform. So again, before you begin this process, if you are on a team, you might want to talk to your team about whether or not Making the Grade is going to be used for midterms. So you'll see that there are a lot of options here. These are options that you can use, but you don't necessarily have to if you're interested in course section, first period, second period, third period, meeting time, and also academic term. I do suggest that you enter academic term. Go ahead and click Next. If you want to, you have to assign a number to the student. You can have Making the Grade assign a number. You could have the number simply be their location in the roster. I would probably suggest choosing the Your Own Number option, because then you assign a number to the student and you can use their ID number. And that way, when you print off their grades, you can have them up there and you can just tell them to look for their ID number. Now, obviously, you could print off the grades by number using the roster position option or the Making the Grade number, but that's just another number that your student would have to memorize. So I use Your Own Numbers because that's a number that the students are already aware of, their ID number. Step 3 is going to ask you what type of grading system do you want. I would highly suggest using the multiple option system as opposed to the 5-point system, and I'll show you that right in a minute. They're going to also ask you for a grading scale. You can see got all the different percentages entered here. One little easy trick is that if the previous grade, if 100 is an A and I press Enter, the Enter key, it'll make the next grades an A. Pressing Enter, you're essentially copying the previous grade. So you're going to go through these steps. Obviously, this is where you can add plus or minus. If you are a teacher that uses pluses or minuses, this is where you would put pluses or minuses. Then I'm clicking Next. This is your chance to choose to round grades or to not round grades. This is why I suggest you use the multiple choice system. Because let's say you are a total points kind of teacher, where you've weighed out all of your assignments equally. You can click the total points. Now let's say you would like to use the total points option, but you'd like to have making the grade separate, classwork from homework, from projects to test. You can do that here. Now let's say you aren't a teacher who has equally graded assignments. You can use the composite grading. And let me briefly talk about this a little bit more. So like let's say you have a homework code, and I want my homework to be 45% of my grade. And then we've got classwork, and I would like classwork to be 45% of my grade. And then we want tests to be 10% of the grade. So you can see you assign a code and you can assign a description. It's going to be the same thing if you do the total points with categories option. On this screen, you're going to enter in your student's last name, first name, and ID number if you've chosen that numbering option. So you can go through and enter in your student's name and your student's ID numbers. If you click here, you can actually have them sort by name, and then click Done. From here, if you're interested in setting up your seating charts, Making the Grade does have a seating chart program. If you are interested in using that, go ahead and click Seating Charts. But for the sake of this video, we're going to go on to Gradebook. So you can see that my students, test student and test 2 students, have all been loaded. Now what I need to do is I need to create an assignment. To create an assignment, you're going to click in the numbered box up here. You can see you've got this box, which is for the title of your assignment. Some teachers like to put the actual date into this box so that they have a running record of when assignments were given. But that is not necessary. Now right here is if you did create codes, like remember the previous screen where I was entering in the composite values of the percentage values of different categories, homework, classwork, tests, you'd enter in your category code here and then click Next. Here you're going to assign the amount of points for that specific assignment. Now let's say it's 10 points. You'll notice that the number of items automatically fills in 10. But let's say it's a 10-point item or a 10-point homework assignment, but there's only 7 questions. So you can actually change the number of items around, and then when you enter it into Making the Grade, you are going to enter 1 through 7, depending on what the students got correct. But Making the Grade is going to adjust the value of the assignment so that the points accurately reflect the number of items correct. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to use 10. Done. From here is where you can actually enter in your student's grades. So let's say test student got a 7, and let's say test student 2 got a 9. You'll notice as I enter in the grades here, their student totals get updated here. If you have any questions about Making the Grade, please feel free to call or email Tom Boyk at boykt@wego33.org.